cutting-edge fields are very, very important and relevant. It helps humanity to make progress and step forward. My name is Boglárka. I study computer science with AI specializations, and I'm from Hungary.
I'm Ken. I'm studying atmospheric sciences, and I'm from Japan.
My name is Daniel, and I'm studying cybersecurity, and I'm from Austria.
My name is Ibrahim. I'm studying computer science, specifically artificial intelligence, and I'm from Egypt.
My name's Linda. I'm a PhD student in electrical engineering, and I'm from Ecuador.
Ever since I was a small child, I was fascinated about the new technology from the US.
Whether it's from a big company or a new groundbreaking research finding, the US was always involved in producing cutting-edge technologies. So wanting to study cutting-edge fields in the US.
Learning-based tools and software to aid diagnosis and personalized medicine, ultimately.
Studying in the US has given me the freedom to choose what I want because of the breadth of options available. And for me personally, my care goes towards creatives and using AI to give them the best tools to achieve their vision.
I'm studying atmospheric sciences. I use numerical models, many different kinds of simulations to predict and quantify the change in the climate.
I'm really excited about the field of cybersecurity. That means I try to find solutions for cutting-edge cybersecurity threats in the future, preserve the consumer's privacy while innovating and developing new software.
I wanted to find universities that have a strong research center in intelligent transportation. And my favorite part about studying the US is that everyone has this mindset of doing things better and improving technology.
In my opinion, the US is the best place to study cutting-edge fields because you have this hub of innovation.
We are very excited to welcome you here, and thank you so much for being so many of you today with us. I'm really excited to introduce myself. My name is Alina, and I'm an Education USA advisor. And today we are with an interesting webinar, another one, because we used to do that monthly, as you know, guys. And on our website, you can find more information about our upcoming webinars, about other services that we are providing. We have some interesting blogs and some interesting articles you can read on our website. We also have some MOOCs that can also help you navigate through the process of applications for your studies in the US. And as you know, every month we are organizing these interesting events and these interesting webinars where we are discussing on different topics that are helpful to you. And today we're going to talk about how to make your offer when choosing your graduate degree. So as we know, many of you struggle, and we have a lot of advisors in the region that have students that are struggling when they would get their offer from the institutions in the US, and they would just need some more guidance on how they need to make this choice. And we have today 3 wonderful speakers that would give us a lot of tips and a lot of useful information that can maybe help you to navigate in this process. And we would start just introducing them. After, we will give them the floor to present a bit about their institution, including about the topic, because they are representing different programs. And I consider that this is great because you guys, depending on the program that you're interested about, you can address your question. And you know that we have this chat section where you can submit your questions. So please be active, address the question that you have. And now I will just proceed on giving the floor first to James, so he can introduce himself, and then we'll go to the other speakers. Hello, everyone.
Thank you, Alina, and hello, everyone. My name is James Callahan. I'm the Assistant Vice President for International Education at Georgia College and State University. We are located in Georgia, in the southern part of the United States, near Florida, about 2 hours south of Atlanta. And we're the public liberal arts institution, the official public liberal arts institution of the state of Georgia. I'm very happy to be with you today. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you, James. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Hodges. I am the Assistant Director of Graduate and International Programs at the University of Connecticut School of Law. So I'm here today speaking specifically about law programs, but I hope that a lot of this advice will be transferable to the different programs that you're interested in. And I'll talk a little bit more about UConn and where it's located later, but for now, very nice to meet you and looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Rachel.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you, Alina, and everyone for organizing this session. My name is Rachel Burson. I'm from Carnegie Mellon University. So I'm the eastern part of the United States. I co-direct the CMU Robotics Institute Scholars, which is CMU's AI and Robotics Future Leadership programs. And we work to create pathways for students to join graduate programs. I'll be talking about computer science, AI, robotics, and engineering, so STEM areas, and exploring different ways that the types of programs and how to navigate. Looking forward to discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for introducing yourself. So now we can proceed to our presentation. I know that our first presenter is going to be Sarah. So Sarah, the floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alina. So today, as I mentioned, I'll be talking to you about how to consider a law school offer. And I'm here representing the University of Connecticut School of Law in our graduate and international programs. So just to talk a little bit about UConn School of Law and law school in general in the United States before we get started. In the United States, there are two main types of legal programs that you might be interested in. The first is called the JD, the Juris Doctor degree, and that is the degree that most US students pursue as their professional qualification in law. Unlike places in other parts of the world, most US students pursue a 4-year bachelor's degree in a field unrelated to law to begin, and then enter their professional law degree for 3 years following their bachelor's degree. I know in many locations abroad where you may be coming from, you start your professional degree in law during your first your first higher education studies as your LLB. For that reason, there's another degree in the United States that many international students pursue called the Masters of Law, or the LLM. Most of our international students enter those programs, and that's a 1-year degree in which you can seek a professional credential in the United States after your first degree in law from your home country. So my advice will be applicable to both law programs, although there are important differences between the two. And certainly, if you're interested in pursuing legal studies in the United States, I'd invite you to connect with an admissions officer such as myself to talk about some of those differences. But now, just to speak a little bit about the University of Connecticut School of Law, we're located in Hartford, Connecticut, which you can see on this map is directly in between Boston and New York City. So we're on the East Coast of the United States in the Northeast, and we're about 2 hours each from New York City and Boston. So we're located conveniently between two major legal hubs in the United States, but we're in a smaller city in the state of Connecticut, which makes for a wonderful student environment where the cost of living is affordable. You get to know your classmates and your faculty well, and the environment is a bit more relaxing than living in a larger city during your studies. We're one of the top public law schools in the United States, so we are a public institution. And we have programs that are well known in insurance law, as well as tax law, energy and environmental law, and human rights and social justice, to name a few. Some of the hallmarks of our program include individualized attention. We have a very low student to faculty ratio. So I'll be talking a bit about this later as well, and why this is important when you're evaluating different offers. But what that means is that you have the opportunity to get to know your faculty well. And it also means that the class size is generally much smaller than a larger law school. Most of our classes are around 20 students, and none of our classes are larger than 70 students. So our largest classroom seats 70, so you have a smaller class size. In addition, we're known for our affordability and value, another factor that comes into play when you're making decisions about which offer to pursue. There's a difference often between the tuition charged by a public institution and a private institution in the United States. And we're happy to be able to offer all of our students, even international students, our low public school tuition. And finally, we pride ourselves on our experiential opportunities. So these are the opportunities to get hands-on learning, which can also be very important when you're evaluating an offer. So things such as legal clinics, where you're essentially doing legal work under the supervision of a faculty member in an on-campus clinic. Some of our clinics include an asylum clinic where you'd be helping local residents, Connecticut residents, process asylum claims. We have a tax clinic. We have an intellectual property clinic where students apply for patents and do trademark work for local clients. We have a housing clinic where we help local citizens with different processes related to their housing. So lots of different opportunities to get involved and get hands-on work. In addition, we have some established field placements where we would send you out into a local organization to get hands-on legal work there. And then student-run journals where you can have the experience of writing and publishing work for a student journal. Next, please. So now to get a little bit more into the details of how to choose a law school offer. So I spoke to you about some of the features of our programs, but every law school program that you're looking at will have its unique characteristics, the things that a school is known for, and they can vary widely. There are many law schools in the United States. So when you start looking and receiving offers, it can be overwhelming to choose between all of them. To start out with, there are some different resources online that you can use, such as LSAC, which is a database which compiles all of the different law schools and allows you to do searches based on different criteria. As well, there's another website called LLM Guide, which has a helpful compilation of all of the different master's programs in the United States as well. Similarly, you can search through and look. So you want to think about what is most important to you and what are your goals with a given law program. Facing all of these options, what really is most important to you? So different students have different goals when pursuing a degree in law in the United States. For some students, their goal is to sit for the US bar exam, which is the qualifying exam to practice law in the United States, and they want to gain post-graduation employment in the United States. Well, if that's the case, you'll want to make sure to look for a program with academic offerings that will allow you to sit for that bar exam. So you'll be looking specifically at what classes does this university offer? Will I be able to get into all of the classes that are required for the bar exam? What kinds of support does the school offer in terms of navigating that bar process? So you really want to look closely at the program and see, does it match with those goals? Similarly, some students have the goal to gain specialized knowledge in a certain legal practice area. So some students might be looking to specialize in energy law in their home country, and they're looking to get expertise from the United States in this area, or to compare how does the United States deal with energy law in comparison to my home country. So again, if you're looking for that specialized knowledge, then looking at the different programs and the course offerings is going to be really important. At UConn Law, we have one of the only programs in insurance law in the United States because of where we're located, which is Hartford, Connecticut, which is known to be the insurance capital of the United States. So looking at those kinds of program offerings, the specialties of a school, and making sure you pick one that fits with your goals. Some students are really looking to gain some practical experience because perhaps in their country, it's hard to break into the legal field. So if they can come to the United States and have some hands-on legal experience, that will help boost their resume so that they can go back home and have those experiences when they're talking to potential employers. So in that case, you'd want to look at what are the practical opportunities that a school offers. And are you going to be able to participate in a clinic or a field placement, or is that not something that's open to international students? So you really want to ask those questions about what specifically your academic program will look like. Finally, I mentioned the faculty and staff ratio as well earlier. If you're looking for mentorship and guidance and how to pursue your career goals, or to really have, for example, a mentor who could speak to you about specific research areas. If you're looking to go into academia, choosing a school where you'll have access to faculty members who can mentor you in that way could be a very important consideration. Secondly, financial considerations. I think everyone knows that finances are one of the most important considerations when evaluating any offer, including a law offer. So, of course, you'll be looking at the cost of the program, the total cost of the program, and any scholarship that you receive in comparison to that cost. But that's not the only financial factor. You also want to look at the cost of living in the local area of the school that you're considering, because just because the tuition might be a little bit higher in one offer compared to another, if the cost of living is significantly higher, that could bump up your total cost overall, even if you've received slightly less scholarship from a given university. So you definitely want to look at the cost of living and make sure that that is in line with your financial needs. You're going to look at your career considerations. Does the school help you with bar preparation? If your goal is to sit for a bar exam, you need to look at their career services department. If your goal is to pursue a career in the United States, certainly that's something that you need some support to do. So if you are looking at a school and they do not have career services for LLM students, that wouldn't be a good fit, even if it has a high ranking or a lot of prestige associated with it. You want to make sure there are the supports in place to help you seek that next career option. And finally, alumni networks are very important when considering an offer. Even with the best career department in any university, oftentimes jobs are gained through those alumni connections. So you can look on LinkedIn before you accept an offer and see, are alumni active from this given school? Do I feel like this is a place where I'd be supported in my job search afterwards? Not just by the career office, but by fellow legal professionals. So asking if you can connect with an alumni before you accept an offer would be a great thing to do. And finally, of course, you want to look at your quality of life, where you'll be going. Some students, their goal when pursuing a graduate degree in the United States or an LLM degree or other law degree is simply to have a study abroad experience and to immerse themselves into the United States culture, to learn English. And in that case, you're really looking at what will be the best fit for me to have a strong immersion experience like that. So things like the location. I like to mention our location in the Northeast, right between two major cities that students like to visit. That really increases their enjoyment of the program while they're here, because almost every weekend they're heading to either Boston or New York to spend some time. The overall campus environment, student groups. You should look at what activities you can be involved in at the law school, not just practical experience, but also clubs. There are affinity groups on many campuses, such as based on different cultural groups or identities. Will you be able to feel at home there? And finally, judging on the faculty and staff support, how well will I be supported while I'm here? When you have interactions with the admissions staff, how are you feeling? Are you being treated well? Do you feel respected? Do you feel that the staff is responding to you quickly? That could be a good window into how you'll be treated when you're at the institution. Next, please. So I'll wrap up here so that we have time for our other presenters, but I'll be answering some questions later to help dive into this a little bit more. And we would love to hear from you at any point. So if you have any questions about what I've just presented and you're interested in legal education, please email us at llm@uconn.edu. Thanks. And passing it back.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate the presentation. You guys have the opportunity to address your question. So take your time. We still have 2 more speakers, but in case if they appear along the way, please submit them in the chat. You have this option. Great. So we move to our next speaker, which is going to be James. James, I can just change the next slide, and please, I will give you the floor.
Very good. Thank you, Lena. And Sarah, that was a great job. I learned a lot just listening to that myself, right? As I mentioned, my name is James Callahan. I understand my last name may be difficult for you to pronounce, so later on, if you want to address me as Dr. James, that's fine. I'm Senior International Officer and Assistant Vice President at Georgia College and State University. We're a public liberal arts institution, but we like to think that we give a private education at a public price, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. I want to give you, I think, a kind of general suggestions and recommendations in terms of graduate school applications, in particular how that applies to liberal arts, but I think in general as well. Okay. Next slide, Alina, if you may. So, and this is our location. We're located where the star is. I don't think there's actually a star on the ground here. I haven't found it yet. And the asterisk there is Atlanta, so you can see where we're located. We're down in the south, very mild weather. We don't have much of, we had snow for the first time in about 20 years this year, but a very light snow. So it's a very nice environment, very pleasant as well. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so the first thing I want to discuss with you is the concept of a liberal arts university, because I think there's commonly a misconception that a liberal arts institution is an art school, right? People doing sculpture or painting or dance or something like that. But actually the words liberal and arts in this context come from the Latin words liberalis, right? Bountiful or abundant, and ars, skills or academic disciplines, right? So abundant skills and disciplines, right? So a liberal arts education, therefore, aims at an education that allows, actually encourages, right, students to study within a wide variety of disciplines and majors. And by nature, it also encourages students to see the connections between disciplines and to combine those studies. We encourage that kind of academic study. So for example, business plus design or art, that's very, very common, business plus design, or maybe science plus business and philosophy or law, right? So if you're in technology, you want to know about how the business end of that is going to run, and also what are the ethical considerations maybe that you're getting involved with, right? So it's a very interesting way to study. It's also usually quite hands-on, very close between yourself and your instructor. Okay, next slide, please. So some things to consider with regards to a liberal arts university. So for the first thing, right, is it going to be something that it's open to a variety of perspectives and opportunities, right? So for example, when you're looking at photographs on the website, right, do you see international students on your campus, right? People that look like you. Right? So that's first kind of indication about what the environment is going to be like. Also, you can look at what we call in the United States a strategic plan. A strategic plan. This is very, very common in America now. And look through their plan to see if there are statements regarding these sort of things. So as you can see there, we have a statement in our strategic plan that specifically addresses, right, this kind of thinking. Right? Look at news and events that are published on a given university's website. Right? Do you see events or student organizations that appeal to you? So, for example, here at GCSU, we have a very active international student club. It's the largest student organization on campus, in fact, and the most active, absolutely. And it's about 50% domestic students, right, American students, and about 50% international students. It's very, very popular on our campus. Right? And then also look at things regarding, how does the university communicate to you, right? Do you feel welcome? As Sarah said, do you feel respected? And are your needs being understood? That's really, really important, and is a really good indication about whether or not that campus is going to be a fit for you, and whether you're going to be successful. Thank you. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of an academic and personal match, right, as Sarah was mentioning earlier, right, take a look at the coursework. What courses are required, right, in your program? And then look them up in the online course catalog to see what the courses are about, what the requirements are, and so forth, right? The other thing, and this particularly applies to a liberal arts environment, but I think it's good in general, is are the courses tightly boxed, right? Or do they bring in other kinds of ways of thinking or other disciplines, right, to give you a broader perspective on the subject matter that you're studying? This is very, very common in the United States these days, I believe. This is really, really important, I think, and I fear that too many applicants don't do this, so please do this, right? please read about the program faculty, right? The institution is going to want to know why you are picking their institution, right? And if you can tell them that you've looked at the faculty, you've looked at the works that they've published, right? They're going to understand a bit more about why you want to come to that particular university, right? So what are the faculty members' backgrounds? Where are they from, right? Are they from foreign countries, international countries? Where are they from in the United States? Which universities have they graduated from? Where did they get their doctorates from? This is really important. What are their research interests, right? You can usually look up the biography of the faculty member on the website. And the important question to ask is, do those research interests of your faculty there match up with your interests, right? Because you want that to happen. You want to be able to be in an environment where you're going to be working with faculty members who share the same kind of interests as you. And then what have they published, right? And if possible, look on the internet and see if you can find examples of what they have published and then read it, because then you'll be able to have more engaged discussions with people when you are applying and then also when you're on the campus. So I recently had a graduate student here from South Korea that worked in my office. She went on to a university on the East Coast and made a very, very strong connection with a faculty member there. Got a full ride scholarship, has a teaching assistantship and so forth. And that faculty member is helping her to also publish and to do works in the field. So she's just absolutely taken off. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that she researched the faculty and was able to make that connection very, very early on. And in fact, that faculty member advocated for her to be accepted into the institution. So it's really important. Be sure to check that out. Okay, next slide, please. You want to look, especially as Rachel was saying, at the kind of aid and support. And I would advocate especially for the opportunities. In the case of liberal arts institutions, they tend to be private rather than a public institution, although we're a public institution. They tend to be more selective, and what I mean by that is they kind of look at students on an individual basis and consider their merits. And because of that, curiously, because they're more selective, right, they're often very receptive, more receptive, in fact, to international applicants because they understand what an international student is going to bring to their campus in many, many kinds of ways, right? At a private institution, many times the aid is more at the discretion of the institution. They decide a bit easier about how the money gets spent. And so be sure to ask about scholarships, right, of course. Ask about discounts at university housing and even on meal plans, right, because that can also be very, very important. Right? One very strong consideration that I think that you should make is to be careful about only shopping for big name schools, right? I'm a smaller school in comparison to my colleagues here on this, so I'm not saying anything against any of the bigger schools. But it's true that lesser known schools are often very, very good themselves, right? And are often, right, eager to receive international students. They may also have more opportunities available, and I told you about the opportunities that were given to my graduate assistant here, right? Things in teaching, right? Doing research, being lab assistants. So you also want to look at the pay that's going to be associated with those kinds of roles, and then also for on-campus jobs as well. So bottom line here is, so don't focus on any one particular aspect, but consider the entirety of the offer, right? The money, sure, of course, but also opportunities for you to learn and to grow and to succeed. And by success, I mean not only on campus, but also after you graduate from the institution and you go on into the world, right? So look at all of those things there and see whether those make a lot of sense for you. And are they going to take you to where you want to go? Okay. Next slide, please. Then the kinds of services and integration for international students, and that's what my office here on my campus does, right? Does the university have a professionally staffed international office, right? I have a team of staffers here who work exclusively with international students, right? See their names and are really terrific, right? Some programs at bigger schools, you may actually have an international advisor, right in the program itself, and that's terrific, right? Of course, do they offer immigration services, and do they have qualified immigration staff? In other words, is the immigration staff trained to handle immigration issues? Are they going to know how to help you, right, with the kinds of questions that you might have? Right? And of course, do they offer assistance with arrival and departure? Right? That can be very, very helpful. My university is located in a kind of a rural area, so it's important for us to provide transportation to students from Atlanta down here to to Milledgeville and then back when they return too, because it's not necessarily easy for them to come because of public transportation. Right? Assistance in locating housing. Here's an important question you might not be thinking about. Right? How affordable is the health insurance? Be sure to ask about this because it can vary widely from university to university and university system to university system. Right? So don't forget about the health insurance. Right? Right, and other services like advising, keeping you on track for your academic progress, right? Places where you can go to get assistance in writing or in terms of general language support. Very, very important, and it's something that American universities are paying more and more attention to. Right? Perhaps there are students or maybe even faculty from your home nation. That would be interesting, and that'd be fun, right? Have an automatic connection like that. Do you have student clubs in your discipline? Right? The example here is I've given as a physics club. We have a physics club here on the campus, which is one of the highest rated in the United States and very, very active. Right? And then is there things like financial support, right, to go to or to present at conferences, right? The graduate student that I've been talking about all through this presentation, she's making presentations all over the United States. She's going to conferences. She's very, very well published, but it costs money to do those things. And if there's funding, right, within the institution, within the program to help you with that, that's going to be terrific. Okay. So look for that as well. And then, as we've been saying throughout here, right, Sarah and I both, right, university communications, right? Do you feel welcome? And are your needs being understood, right? The needs of an international student are going to be a little bit different from that of a domestic student, right? So if you don't feel like your needs are being recognized and then being understood, then maybe you might want to think about, okay, maybe this isn't the place for me. Okay, very good. All right, next slide, please. So that's the end of my presentation. There's some photographs of our lovely campus here. What you don't see is some of the buildings. The university looks very much like something from a set from Gone with the Wind, if you're familiar with that movie. And there's my email address there. And if you have any questions, or if I can offer you any kind of assistance as you make applications and you're trying to figure out where you want to go, please feel free to email me. It's always a pleasure to do so. So thank you very much for your time. It's really been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, James. You guys submit your questions in case you have them. Okay, so our next presenter is going to be Rachel. So Rachel, I will give you the floor.
Wonderful. Well, so as I listen to my two other panelists, I'm finding that there are a lot of the factors that carry across all of the various disciplines. And so today I'm going to be talking about computer science, artificial intelligence, robotics, and engineering. And choosing a graduate program is part of a step in your development, and it's really about your pathway to leadership and impact. I co-direct a program at Carnegie Mellon that launches future leaders of robotics and AI. Next slide, please. So Carnegie Mellon University is a global and top-ranked research university, well known for technology, for engineering, but also for the arts and for theater. And so those two areas come together with business and create a number of opportunities. We describe ourselves as a global university. We're a younger university, but in the time we have really grown. We have a number of relationships and sites across the world, and we're well known within the space that I lead for artificial intelligence, ranked #1 in the United States at the undergraduate level and also at the graduate level for artificial intelligence. So the space that I'm going to talk about a lot is research and research programs, whether those are master's or PhD programs. We'll also talk about some of the differences. So when you think about and you're framing your questions to ask about the programs that you've been accepted to or programs that you want to apply to, you're thinking about some of these important differences. within Carnegie Mellon community and our network, we have 100 plus research centers as well. Next slide, please. So Carnegie Mellon, the space that I'm in, has been a recognized leader in computer science, AI, robotics, and engineering. My role and my position as co-director of the RIS program is within the School of Computer Science. Carnegie Mellon has 7 different colleges under the university umbrella, and my role is located within the School of Computer Science. I also work with the Public Policy School and the Engineering School as well. And so, to give you background and context, we're going to talk about some of these things that may be related to brand at first, but we're also going to dismiss that. One of the things that I want you to think about as you're considering which programs to apply to, it is actually not the rankings. And so Carnegie Mellon is very well known in the space that I'm talking about for computer science for, like a decade. Berkeley, CMU, Stanford, tied for number one. Artificial intelligence, a clear leader nationally in artificial intelligence programs and research as well. The robotics space in which I'm in, we're the first robotics department in the world, the first PhD in robotics, have a number of very, very large commercialization centers. So we go from basic research all the way to commercialization. This is the largest university-affiliated robotics and AI research group in the United States, and we have a strong presence in machine learning. We're located in Pennsylvania, and the gentleman that wrote the book, Tom Mitchell, is originally from Pennsylvania, and the foundational book on machine learning. It was the first machine learning department. So you have a lot of these first, right? And so we're going to kind of tease out where brand matters and maybe how to go a little bit deeper than that. Because and I was hearing the other co-panelists, is that when you're choosing a program and you're choosing a path forward, this is about your journey and how it's going to connect to your goals. So one of the most important things is to first stop and say, what are my intentions? What am I trying to accomplish? What is my time frame? What is my budget as well? Next slide, please. So let's talk about the sort of 2 areas of exploration. And so this is factors in choosing graduate programs in computer science, artificial intelligence, robotics, and engineering. I did mention CMU has a broad number of programs, but my comments and my discussion today will focus on those areas. And so let's look at that first question together. Why go beyond brand and ranking? So CMU does have that, but brand and ranking doesn't necessarily mean fit. And so some of the things that we want to think about and start to explore is to be informed first by your goals, the pathways that you want to explore, the types of positions. And one of the things I think is really exciting about Carnegie Mellon is that you can come in with a number of different assumptions and ideas about what the pathway that you want to pursue. We want to help broaden those. We want to expose you to adjacent areas. And so the graduate process, the undergraduate process is about building the critical thinking, building awareness, and expanding the pathways. In today's world, we will have so many different positions, and the technology that my colleagues and I that we're envisioning creating, it's not even here today. It's going to change so quickly. So when you think about that exploration one, what is the position of the university? What is that network like? And so when you think about network, you're thinking about the faculty, the researchers, the staff, the current students, the alumni. How do they interact? What are the connectivities? Because you're going to join that community. You're joining a community. And when you think about focus, so if you're interested in artificial intelligence or CS or engineering or robotics, Carnegie Mellon is a good place because it has that focus, right? And so if you want to be within an area, think about first, how many faculty members do they have that are serving or supporting that area? What kinds of research opportunities are there? And I would also say, look at and see how interdisciplinary, because the future of science, the future of AI is connected. So it's that science and maybe medicine, that science and transportation. So, what is that capacity to have those interdisciplinary explorations, conversations, and collaborations? And finally, when you're thinking about that, and this is about the programs, the structures, is it at the graduate level? Is it course based or is it research based? And that might have a great impact on the amount of funding and the type of funding, the student experience. And so there are master's degrees that are course based. And what that means is that often they're referred to as professional master's programs, and it is a series of courses that you take over 1 to 2 years and you graduate. Often there's project work within that, and you graduate with a master's with the intention to go into industry. If you're thinking about a PhD, you can apply directly to a PhD program, which may have some coursework but has a massive amount of research time and energies. There are also hybrid programs or degrees that are a research focused degree where you may have some foundational courses that you take, and then you have research that you're part of a lab. Often, in my experience, it's the research based programs that will have more scholarships and support within the STEM fields. So, thinking about that, the next area of exploration is really focusing inward and thinking about what are what kind of learner are you? What kinds of environments are ones in which you thrive? Um, what kind of interaction do you really hope to develop with current students, faculty, staff? And what has the alumni experience been? We're in an age of continuous learning. How do we really come back to that and continue to learn, to upgrade our skills? And I think one of the most important questions in finally deciding which offer to accept may be about the mentorship that you're going to receive through the program, through the advisor, within that environment. Next slide, please. So, to wrap up and to put it into context, what I do is really to develop pathways for future leaders that are going to be researchers in robotics and AI. It is about, if you reframe your thoughts about graduate school, yes, you're building skills, but you are joining a community. And when you think through that lens, you're going to have the questions that come up are going to be critical in determining which programs are really fitting into what will help you to succeed in the long run. So I look forward to questions and exploring how we can help you to navigate offers, how we can help you to think about next steps in exploring pursuing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Okay, so we move to the questions because Rachel somehow anticipated what is going to be the next part. Thank you so much for all the speakers for these wonderful presentations. And here comes the most interesting part. And I think I will start with Sarah because she has provided us first the presentation. And I was just thinking that we can just compile the. I have more questions, of course, and I will also give the floor to our students that already I see submitted some questions in the chat. But There are some questions that have been asked in advance, so we'll try to answer them, and then we'll allow time to answer those that you are guys submitting in the chat, and we are encouraging you to do so. We are very happy when you are active. Okay, so as I said, the first question goes to Sarah, and what I would specifically would like to ask is, when evaluating an offer for a postgraduate law program, what specific aspects of the offer should international students pay attention to? And what are the best strategies to discuss these terms with the admission office? And you as an admission officer for sure can offer us a lot of tips, which our students are like really eager to know about.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we already spoke about how there are so many different factors to consider. So it's hard to say just one specific aspect of the offer that students should pay attention to. But I'm just going to come back briefly to what are your goals with the program. We talked a lot about rankings too, and how you shouldn't just judge a school based on its rankings. Every field is specific. So for the law field, you want to know in your home country, are law firms looking for just a big name law school credential from the United States? Or are they looking for specific experiences and courses that are going to prepare you to work in that field? So if you know that really what's going to get you a job in your country is a big name degree, when you look at your offer, it might not matter to you that you'd be paying more for the degree because that's going to give you the return on your investment. But that is certainly not always the case. If you need practical experiences, if you need specific coursework, if you need mentorship, then looking instead at what is this offer going to give you beyond the sticker price. So we've been talking about so many different aspects. So looking beyond that number and seeing what's behind this number and what am I really and truly going to get out of this degree. A big name school, you might not have that mentorship, and you might, but you need to look at those details and see what am I getting out of this offer. And then in terms of what are the best strategies to discuss, again, I'm going to speak specifically about the law school context. Most international students enroll in the Masters of Law programs. I think it's really important to know what these programs are to US law schools. These are, in general, they're revenue generating programs and they're not fully funded. So just having that context going into your negotiation, you're not going to likely obtain a full scholarship for your Masters of Law program. So if you ask for one, it puts the admissions officer in the position of having to inform you of that and disappointing you. And it also shows that maybe you haven't done your research about what the scholarship thresholds really look like at these programs. So I think going in, having done your research, you can ask during your admissions interview, what types of scholarships do you typically give to students? And if you know, scholarships might only go up to 50%. Well, maybe you can ask them if there's a little bit of wiggle room in your scholarship, but going in and asking for something that realistically you're not going to be able to obtain might not reflect well on you as an applicant. And then I think, of course, it's the basics. When you're speaking with admissions officers, be respectful. Know that they are on your side. We want you to be able to matriculate into our program. And we're not in the business of, holding back resources if we have them to give. But truly, our scholarship levels, we give as much as we can, but we cannot give out fully funded scholarships for our program. So we're on your side. We'll evaluate your application and give you the best scholarship that we can for your application. But just know that going into the process.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's a great advice, and you guys, I think, should use that. Thank you so much, Sarah. I wanted to ask about the mistakes and about, the good things and the bad things they should avoid, but you actually pointed on the most important things, so I'll not go any more into any other details. Thank you very much. Okay, the next question goes to James. So it's going to be something similar to the one that I gave already to Sarah, but when evaluating an offer for a liberal arts program specifically, what should international students pay attention to in terms of financial aid packages, international student discounts, scholarship, and in case if they will need more support. Maybe you can give us an example on your institution's side.
Sure, and I think Sarah did a really good job in addressing a lot of these aspects right away. I think that my go-to answer for this is a line that I had on one of my slides, is to consider the entirety of the package, right? Sure, you want to make sure you're getting enough money, right, to survive, so to speak, right, in America and on the campus. But, and there's also, as Rachel mentioned in her presentation, right, you want to think about the kinds of opportunities that you're going to have to do research, right, to have mentorship, and to succeed, as I was talking about later on. Right? All of us here, want these students to come to the United States, whether it's to one of our institutions or another one, and to be successful both on the campus in terms of making the application, being admitted, and then succeeding on the campus and then beyond. But what kinds of opportunities will a student have actually on the campus, right? During the 2 or 3 or more years that they have on the campus, whether it's a research lab, as I think Rachel was talking about, or other kinds of opportunities. As I've mentioned, making the faculty connection is important, understanding about the faculty and who they are, what they've done, what their future may hold, right? Because they're younger faculty, and then also the kind of bona fides that an older faculty member might have from having been in the discipline for a very long time. And as I alluded to, I've been thinking about this Korean student that I had a couple of years ago, who was here in our office and was under my mentorship, and I kind of groomed her a little bit along the line, and she, applied to a couple of institutions. A couple of institutions she did not get into, right, much to my surprise. But the one that she made the contact with really embraced her and did a lot of great things for her. So she is on a path right now, or as I mentioned, she is publishing. She has an incredible amount of publications, even though she's only in the second year of her doctoral program and has been presenting at conferences. Right? So you want to be able to ask for the things that you need, both in terms of the financial aid, the monetary, right, aspect, but also the kinds of things that are going to allow you to enhance your learning, enhance your experience on the campus, and then position you, right, for a trajectory for success later on. As I think all of us have mentioned, right, this aspect about thinking about what your goals are, right, and what the outcomes are that you want to obtain, and then what is the best place for you to get all of those, and then who is going to help you to hold your hand, if you will, take you across the finish line. So I think it's really, really important, and I fear that too many students just look at the money, right? That's important for sure. But there's a reason why you're coming to an institution, and that is because you want to learn, right? You want to succeed, and you want to, in a sense, groom yourself, prepare yourself for the successes later on. So that's a very long answer with maybe too many run-on sentences. But I think it's really the entirety of the package that all students will really need to look at.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much. Good. So I think it's going to be the same thing that I'm going to asking Rachel. And I know that for STEM programs, we have the stereotype that students might get more chances, in funding and in all that. So I just want to stop a bit on this, and if you can just give us more details on that. So when they would evaluate an offer in your program or in a STEM program, what are some key factors a student, an international student, should consider the internet when reviewing the financial support, the scholarships?
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. So I want to emphasize two of the points that Sarah and James made, which is we want you to succeed. We are in these roles because we're excited about the possibilities. We see that. We really enjoy working with students, creating these pathways, and helping you to attain your goals. Not every person is going to have the same pathway before them because you're planning different things. So giving time for that differentiation. And Sarah, to pick up on your point, which I think was critical and may be the answer across all of this, do your research. And what I mean by that is that go into a space where you've attended information sessions. I would suggest that you connect with the students, connect with the current students. And so James, you talked a lot about that environment, and you want to know about those opportunities. So you may ask current students about what is it like to be there, and what are the financial opportunities. But it's the collective. It's that cumulative outcome there. Think about that network. Networks are really, really important. And so they will open certain doors, and it's an active network. So it can be a brand name without a network, and it just doesn't work. So for the if I do my research, if I look at that within STEM programs, so there's two things. One is that within the School of Computer Science within Carnegie Mellon, most of the PhD programs are fully funded. What does that look like? That means 100% tuition funded, 100% like coverage for health insurance, and also a stipend. Stipends will vary from program to program, perhaps. A lot of that information is actually on the website. So before you even go in, you can see what support looks like, what percentage of students may receive that support. When you think about the masters, Sarah made the point about the design or the type of the programs, and that was brilliant, because leaning into that, there are certain programs, which many of them are course-based, that have fewer scholarship options. So if that financial support at the graduate level is very important to you, think about the PhD programs and the master's programs in many of the fields that are research-based, where there's a possibility of an assistantship. That will give you more financial support. Many of the course-based programs will not have that financial support associated with it. So, and most of this information for my university is on the website. The master's programs, from my experience, are harder to understand. Within robotics, our space, we research based. About 80% of the students receive financial support.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you. Sarah, you wanted to add something here? Or no? Okay, good. So we have here a question in our chat from Dima. And he's asking, is it acceptable to contact researchers and professors directly asking about assistantships prior to arrival day, after receiving acceptance letter, but before arriving to campus? Thank you. If, I don't know, maybe each of you can add something on that. It's her opinion. It's her opinion. I don't know. We can start with Rachel. Rachel, what do you think about that?
Sure. So I'd suggest that Dima maybe step back, look at the context, go and do some of that research if you haven't already. So you might be able to find this information on the website. What kind of funding opportunities are there? I would then reach out to, if there's been recorded like information sessions, look at that. Connect to some of the students. I would not go in to say, can you give me a scholarship? Instead, I want to understand the environment. I want to understand what the current status of funding is, and you can find that out. You may actually close down opportunities if you come in and just ask for funding, right? And so if you come in informed, I would want to open up conversations with faculty and researchers and labs more based on how it can contribute to the research, right? And then in addition to that, maybe explore the financial possibilities. But I would never come in just saying, can you fund me? I would come in knowing the context and have a more informed conversation.
Perfect. Sarah, what do you think about that? Thank you. Thank you, Rachel.
Yes, we get questions often about either teaching assistantships or research positions. Again, in the law school context, it really depends, but we don't typically have paid teaching assistantships. So I think, knowing that going in, it's not something that I would necessarily reach out to a faculty member directly about. I would recommend reaching out first to your admissions officer and ask them, is it okay if I reach out to a faculty member about this? And we can guide you. We do have research assistant positions, but typically our faculty like to get to know the student before they hire a research assistant. So for that reason, we recommend wait until you arrive on campus, try to enroll in a class with the faculty member you're interested in, and then approach them once you've had a little bit of time to get to know them and let them know that you're interested in doing some research work with them. But usually an email out of the blue from a student who the faculty member hasn't met yet isn't as effective. So Again, that varies from context to context, but the admissions officer should be able to tell you whether or not that would be effective, and if not, how they can go about contacting the professor. That's a great question.
Yes, thank you, Dima. Thank you, James.
Yeah, I agree completely with my colleagues on this, and in my experience, and I'm not in a research field. In my experience, from what I've seen on our campus, it's frequently the case that once a student has been accepted, right, that the program will reach out to the student and say, "Hey, we've seen that you're coming into our program. You sound terrific. It might be a great opportunity for us to have you come in and do some work with us." And so frequently that is the case, at least on my campus, that someone will reach out to the student that part. But yeah, I agree completely with what both Rachel and Sarah said.
Thank you so much. And we normally also encourage our students to reach directly to their professors. So by the time they would get their acceptance letter, they would already know the types of financial aid they would get from the institution. But if the case of Dima is something that is exceptional, then yes, I think the advices that you gave to him are very helpful. And also an advice from me for everything that is related to how to choose your best offer. I just want to tell you guys that this week I had a student that was accepted to an Ivy League university, and he was also struggling with this financial aid. He was saying that, yes, I've got my offer, but it's a bit struggling for me. I cannot really go there because I don't afford this. So my advice here also to our students is to think very good about this part, especially when applying prior. And he just applied on a rolling admission, so he just applied last moment, and he got his acceptance. And it's very exciting to get this acceptance later from an Ivy League university, but you should really think about all the consequences when you submit to that. So here are our Education USA advisors, helping and assisting you with a lot of advices and of tips, tricks that maybe can help you and guide you through this process of accepting it. So I really hope that our today's webinar was useful to you, because to me it was very useful. I really loved them when we found out from our speakers such a lot of interesting and useful information. And I hope that our audience, which was live with us today, also had this opportunity to find out some more interesting things that will help them. Thank you very much, everyone. Rachel, Sarah, James, I really appreciate your professionalism and your experience today. And I really hope that we will have more webinars in which you will participate and you will just share your skills on some other topics. Thank you very much.
Have a good
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.